Alright. Well, a couple days ago we left Jordan and we went into Israel. And getting out of Jordan is a nightmare and a fiasco, and it is total chaos and took us forever. The border, they just don't have it organized at all, and you have to go through so many different steps. But literally, like, people are kind of in turnstiles, and then it's just a madhouse, and literally you just kind of have to like make friends with the baggage guys, and they'll finally put you up. And it was so chaotic. I was literally surrounded by, I don't know, 200 pieces of luggage. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. And I had to stand up on this like conveyor belt, which was really hilarious, trying to get over to get this thing happening. We finally got over into Israel, which, again, this was probably about a 4-hour ordeal, I want to say. And then it was a little bit smoother sailing. We got baptized on the Israel side, which they actually have a baptismal area set up. So you go in through these like guard-looking places, and then you go to kind of like a little, there's like a gift shop, and then there's changing areas, which are very, very basic. And then we walked down and we got baptized. And literally the area that we got baptized in, it's really interesting because there's a tiny, I guess a river, and it's very still. And there's literally about 20 feet away is the Jordan side. So you can't go across a certain point or they'll arrest you for being in Jordan without going through the areas. So that was kind of interesting to see. And there was actually people watching us get baptized in Jordan. So Miranda and I both got baptized, which was really cool. And then after, actually I think before, we went to this place called Masada. And Masada is this area that when the Israelites were getting captured in 70 AD by the Babylonians, a lot of people had escaped. So there was about 993 Israelites that were held up in this place called Masada. And Masada is this basically like a town on top of a hill, and there's cliffs that go up to it. And they're super fortified, and King Herod had made it, and he had all these areas full of all kinds of food and water and, you know, springs and just cisterns, and just so they held up for about 3 years. Well, the Romans came over, and they were really upset that they couldn't get access Masada, and so they really wanted in. And so what they did is they built a big dirt, so picture a cliff like this, and they're all on top and they can't get up the cliff. So what they do is they finally come up with an area, and they make like a dirt ramp all the way up at the top. And this Josephus, who wrote about the experience, said that the night before they knew they were going to get captured or killed by the people, that they didn't want to go into slavery. So they drew lots, and a lot of the husbands basically killed their own families. And then there was down to the last 10, and they named each other's lots, because in tradition you could not, in Jewish custom, you can't commit suicide. And so the last person was to kill all the other 9 and then commit suicide. So that when the conquering army came in, all they saw was a bunch of dead bodies. And they also saw all the food and the water. And it was kind of like a last little, like, you know, hey, we'd rather die than be captured by you. So we went up there and saw that. It was really beautiful. And then after we finally entered Jerusalem, Jerusalem is amazing. And we're staying in the Arab Quarter. And the first night we got here, we went to the Wailing Wall, the Western Wall. They call it the Western Wall now. And that was really amazing, just seeing all the people. And we learned that 11 million people go to the Western Wall every year, which is more than the population in Israel. So a lot of people go see it. So yesterday morning we woke up and we found this, went to this really awesome coffee and pastry shop and just had some awesome pastries. And then we went to these thing called the tunnel tours. And what they do is the old city Jerusalem is so much lower than most of the city of Jerusalem now. And so because what they did back then is instead of tearing down what was there and rebuilding on it, they just built over it. And they did that a couple times. So really everything that you're standing on is a good, depending on where you are, 30 to 50 feet higher than where it was in ancient Jerusalem. So we got to go down, and it was about an hour-and-a-half tour, which was awesome just to see the whole areas that was the actual original city. And it's actually below the foundations for the houses. So we went down there, we saw a stone that was, I think it weighed something like 13 African elephants. It's just a huge stone. They've actually never seen another stone in the world that's bigger. So that was neat. And we got to see just the underground area of the Western Wall. And then after that tour was over, we went and we had lamb burgers. And after that, we went to the Mount of Olives. And the Mount of Olives is just a great viewpoint where you can actually see most of the Temple Mount, the Temple, the Temple Mount and the surrounding areas. And we also could see right on the kind of the base almost of the Mount of Olives is the Garden of Gethsemane. Can't say that right. And so we're going to go there later today. And then last night we went to the Holy Sepulchre, and that is where Jesus was crucified. And they actually have a hole, which is the original hole where Jesus's cross was into. And it's very interesting because the church is controlled by 6 different organizations, all religious organizations, so it's pretty much very Catholic inside by its presentation. So it's a little bit, if you're not used to that, it was a little distracting just seeing all the different things and icons that they have around there. And we explored that whole area, and it was a very neat area. And they also have the actual tomb where Jesus was buried in there, but we didn't go to see that fully because there was a lot of tour groups, and we're going to go today when it's a lot less crowded. But we explored that, and that was a lot of fun. And we also, it's kind of an interesting thing that the whole church, the Holy Sepulchre, is owned by a Muslim family. And so he comes and locks the doors every evening at 9 o'clock, and everybody kind of waits around and watches him lock the doors, and it's very symbolic. Just kind of an interesting thing because there's 6 different organizations that work inside, and the Catholic, they rent the place from the gentleman who's Muslim. So it was just kind of interesting to see all that, how it works. And then we went back to the hotel, and then we just woke up and we had an amazing omelet breakfast, and we're about to go do some more exploring today.